In British horror, the haunted house is a character. It's inheritance. It's guilt trapped in wallpaper. The creaking door, the seance in the library, the ghost in the mirror. We know the rules. Now look at this. This is also a haunted house. But you've probably never seen a horror movie set here. Not really. Not the way that you've seen 100 movies set in a Victorian asylum or a crumbling British estate. But why? Because the American Plantation is a haunted house that Hollywood is too terrified to unlock. Not because it isn't scary, but because it's too scary. The British haunted house is about the fear of the past returning. The American Plantation is the fear that the past never left. Today, we're going to talk about the Plantation as the uniquely American haunted house, a literal and figurative ghost story that America has spent a century trying to gentrify, renovate, and erase. And why, when a filmmaker finally opens the door, what comes out isn't a ghost. It's something much, much worse. Hello, welcome back, baby bats or scaredy cats. I'm Isabella von Ghoul, and this is Cinemancy. If you've never been here before, this is a channel where I analyze movies, media, kind of try to find out what it all means and what's going on. I'm trying to help media literacy in this country because God knows, I've seen some of the comments out there. I've seen some of the posts on the forums, and we need media literacy, okay? Today we're going to be talking about the American Plantation. I'm from the South, and there are a number of plantations that I have been to, and it's probably one of the most fascinating the right word that I'm trying to, I don't think so.
Not a chance. Not this time. It never happened.
One of the most captivating subjects that I have, because the plantation is a site of mass horror, and yet it's one of America's most popular tourist destinations. It's psychotic. It's schizophrenic. Like, it makes you feel like you're crazy. And also, where are the plantation horror movies? Like, there's so many haunted plantations, and yet I never see a movie taking place in a plantation. So what is this about? This American system that we have. What makes it so unique? And why I think that it's worth talking about and confronting. I scheduled this video to go out earlier, but actually through a mix of schedules and life and everything like that, this video is now coming out on near July 4th, which I think is chef's kiss. I think that's kismet, because talking about something that is so uniquely American while it's coming out around the anniversary of America, its 250th birthday, I think is like, yes, it was meant to happen that way. So I hope that you enjoy this video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hype if you liked it. If you don't like it, just be cool about it. You know, you don't have to be weird. Okay, enjoy. Think about the haunted house genre. It's fundamentally conservative. It says property is memory, and that memory is trauma. The British Victorian mansion is haunted by class guilt, repressed servants, murdered wives. It's a history lesson with jump scares. But America doesn't have Victorian mansions. We have plantations. And here's the strange thing. For a country that loves horror, we have almost no iconic plantation horror films. We have The Skeleton Key, which is, yeah, kinda. We also have Antebellum, which is also, yeah. Aves Bayou, which is more of a ghost story than a haunted house movie. Compared to Britain, they have The Others, The Woman in Black, The Innocents. The British estate is a horror icon. Then Plantation? It's a postcard, a wedding venue, a backdrop for Gone with the Wind. But why? Because the British ghost represents their original sin in England, classism. The American ghost represents our original sin, slavery. And we don't know how to film that. Not honestly, not without burning the whole thing down. Let's start with the literal. A haunted house needs a history of violence. The Victorian mansion has a locked room where someone starved to death, or a wife in the attic, or an unsolved murder. The plantation has thousands of people who were worked to death, sold, raped, and buried in unmarked graves. That's not a haunting, that's a genocide with good architecture. But here's the horror movie problem. A traditional ghost is a sympathetic figure. Think of the ghost in The Others. She didn't know that she was dead, and we feel bad for her. You cannot make a mainstream horror film where the ghost is an enslaved person begging for justice, because that's not a ghost story, that's a documentary. And the audience would have to sit with the fact that the monster, quote unquote, is the ghost. And the monster could also be the family who lives in the house. The Skeleton Key is the closest we've come. That house isn't haunted by a ghost, it's haunted by voodoo, accurately or inaccurately, and the villain isn't a spirit, it's the land itself. The movie's twist, the house swaps bodies, it imprisons people in the bodies of the enslaved. It's a metaphor so on the nose, it hurts. But critics called it Southern Gothic, not horror, which I think is a very thin line, because to call it horror would mean admitting the plantation is a torture chamber, not a tourist destination. So how do we get here? To a place where celebrities are hosting their weddings at the site of some of the most horrific tragedies in American history. Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds got married at Boone Hall Plantation in South Carolina. This plantation was the home of up to 300 slaves, and those slaves were forced to do back-breaking labor dusk till dawn under threat of violence, harvesting crops and working in dangerous brick kilns. Men, women, and children were living in cramped, squalid housing while enslaved, and most didn't even make it past the age of 40 due to malnutrition, disease, and overwork. Why would you want this as the site of the best day of your life? Imagine Germany turning Auschwitz into an Airbnb or Dachau into a tourist destination. But here in America, we did, because we're terrified of confronting the past. Now the figurative haunting. The ghost that doesn't need a sheet. The Plantation is a haunted house because America never performed an exorcism on itself. Britain had the Abolition Act in 1833, and England was eager to move on. It looked to its own history to build from. But the British kept one form of systemic oppression: classism. This operates like a pseudo-caste system, where your station in life is often determined by your family's history. This class system harmed more than just black people, so the British could make something into horror that was not just about confronting race. But America? The Civil War was only lost in spirit. Only 2 Confederates were ever punished for war crimes, and the country wanted to enter into a time of reconciliation instead of mass prosecution. The other Confederates went on to become leaders, fathers, politicians, and heads of their local chapter of the KKK. To them, the war of Northern aggression never ended. And because we were all so ready to move on, the country never atoned for its sin of slavery. Instead, we built theme parks on battlefields, turned plantations into destination wedding venues, opened former slave shacks as a site of paranormal activity for ghost hunters on TV.
Hey Jack, who were you touching earlier? What was her name? Your mom?
Is this spirit being a smartass by saying that it was touching my mom?
There was no reverence, no time for reflection. We make Gone with the Wind, a movie that romanticizes a plantation owner, while the actual formerly enslaved people are played as caricatures, jokes. And that's not horror, that's propaganda. So the figurative haunting happens when a filmmaker tries to use the plantation as a setting for a different horror. Jordan Peele understood this. Get Out isn't set on a plantation, but it feels like one. The Armitage House, white columns, sprawling grounds, black servants, a sunken basement where black bodies are stored. Chris is invited to dinner not as a guest, but as livestock. That's the plantation horror. the smile, the mint juleps, the we're all just family here. Then the hypnotism comes in, then the surgery. The British Victorian ghost says, I died in this house. The American plantation ghost says, I never died. I was turned into a garden statue, a caricature, a joke, a meme. So why don't we have more plantation set horror? The time span of slavery was a significant portion of our history, and as of right now, there are about 375 plantations that still exist in the country. Well, 3 reasons why. First one is the aesthetic problem. The plantations that we have are beautiful, and cinematographers would love the light, the Spanish moss, the symmetry, but horror needs a degree of ugliness. You can make a Victorian house look rotten. A plantation by design hides its rot. You'd have to show the slave quarters, the whipping post. And once you show that, it's not really a haunted house movie anymore. It's more like a snuff film. Problem 2, the spectator problem. Who is the protagonist? Well, we know who the protagonist is. If there's a modern white family who bought the plantation as a B&B, they're automatically the villain, no matter what happens to them. If they're a black family, congratulations, you're asking black audiences to watch a horror movie about their own generational trauma. And that isn't really catharsis. Problem 3, the genre. Haunted house movies end with survival or release. The ghost is laid to rest, but the plantation's ghost cannot be laid to rest because the plantation never ended. It just changed its name to private property, prison labor, and sharecropping. You can't exercise a system. Notice that the best American horror about historical violence doesn't take place on plantations. It takes place in housing projects, in suburbs, in hotels, which is, about the native genocide buried beneath a resort, but I digress. The plantation is too direct, too literal, too real for most Americans. So here's what I think. The plantation horror movie that could exist would have to break all the rules. It would have to address America's history dead on and not flinch. Use the tropes of the genre, the jump scares, the ghost with a tragic backstory, the final escape through the woods, and just subvert the whole thing. White audiences don't want to be preached to, and black audiences don't want to watch torture porn of our own people. It would have to be a film where the house itself is the antagonist, not just the people. And the horror isn't a monster, the horror is the realization that America is the haunted house. And you would have to reconcile with the ghost of America's past, present, and future. This is more than what most filmmakers see themselves doing. And since the majority of filmmakers today are white men, not many of them are brave enough to confront their own racism, nonetheless movie racism. America has spent the last 163 years running away from its history, unable or unwilling to put down its hands from covering its eyes, afraid of what it might see about itself. The British haunted house ends with a priest, a seance, or a fire. The American plantation would have to end without an exorcism. There was only denial. Then the credits roll. No resolution, no catharsis, just the sound of wind through the moss. Because the legacy of slavery lives on in America. The 13th Amendment doesn't abolish slavery completely. It still exists as the punishment for a crime that someone has been convicted of. At the time of the Civil War, the U.S. had about 4 million slaves. And today, the U.S. prison population has about 2 million. What's really changed? It's not just the plantation that's haunted, it's the whole country and every single person living in it. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think? Do you think that America can pull off a plantation, a good horror plantation movie? I think they can. I think somewhere there is a writer who has the idea, who's already written it, or maybe just has the idea in their head of a great plantation horror movie that is just going to turn everything up on its head. I really feel like Ryan Coogler could do it. Jordan Peele could do it. There's filmmakers out there. Ava DuVernay could do it. I feel like there's filmmakers out there that can definitely do it, and I want to see it. I really do. I'm tired of living in a country that is constantly afraid of itself, its past, its history, afraid to look backwards, afraid to look at itself, afraid to look forwards. So much about America is about the refusal to admit harm, and it's frustrating. It's only hurting ourselves. We're banning books because of the fact that we don't want to feel bad about something that actually happened. And to me, it's kind of fucking annoying. I want to talk about these things so that we can heal. Go again and do the things that should have happened after slavery. But we'll see. Only time will tell. Until then, I hope that you like this video. Please check out my Patreon if you would like to add some funds and become my patron, which really helps me out a lot for being able to do these videos. Every dollar counts. I would appreciate it. Until then, take care of yourself. Take care of your neighbors. Be kind to yourself. Because remember, the monsters, they're always closer than you think they are. Okay, bye!